up, BookTube? Here with a tag. This is the Freudian Book Tag, and I was tagged by Tiffany over at Hierarchy of Reads. Thank you, Tiffany. She tagged me way back in November of 2018, and I'm just now getting around to it, so my apologies. Had a busy year last year. Everybody that tagged me, like I said, if I'm aware of it, I will get to your tag, I promise. Cheers, my friends. Okay, this is a good one. Here we go. Question number 1. Freud's theories are commonly mischaracterized or underappreciated. Name a character in a book that you feel is misunderstood, and in what ways? Well, I think Carrie, in the book Carrie by Stephen King, she could be misunderstood. Of course, she was bullied, picked on, and she possesses telekinetic abilities. She unleashes that on her fellow students, catches a few innocent folks, sort of during the whole chaotic thing there. I don't want to do spoilers. I don't know how many of you read this, but I mean, she could be viewed either as a bad person or a good person. Obviously, you know, was what she done justified or not? You know, depends on your point of view. So, I went with Carrie by Stephen King. Number 2. When Freud first debuted his psychoanalytic theory, it was not well received. Many were scandalized by his discovery of children's sexuality. It was only later that his work was recognized and applauded. What is a book whose debut was not well received, or a book whose release was considered by some to be scandalous? That would be Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. It's about a drug-fueled weekend in Vegas, and all the weird stuff that goes on, the hallucinations, and some of the things these two guys do. I enjoyed the book. I know it wasn't well received. You know, Hunter S. Thompson, he's considered the father of gonzo journalism because of his writing style. But heck, it's one of my favorite books. So. Number 3. Freud is said to have been very self-aware and self-analyzing even in childhood. What is a book that seems to have been quite aware of itself? Ernest Hemingway. Hang on a minute. My notes dropped. Ernest Hemingway, The Old Man and the Sea. It's a simple story. It's about an old man out fishing on a skiff. This is his livelihood. He hooks into a huge fish. He battles the thing. I'm not going to tell you what happens after that, but it's a heart-wrenching story, and for something such a simple concept, the way Hemingway wrote this, and you immediately start pulling for this guy, and you'd have to read it. I mean, it's a classic, and I recommend everybody read that one there. Okay. 4. While many aspects of Freud's theories are still used, he was very much a product of his time. For instance, in his early career, he was influenced by Darwinism, and in later years by the discoveries made by physicists. Being a neurologist, most of his early discoveries were influenced by medicine and biology. Name a book that was strongly influenced by prominent ideas of the time, but that have remained relevant over time. And why do you think it maintained its relevance? I don't have the book. It's I Am Legend by Richard Matheson. It's about a plague which basically turns everyone into vampires except for Neville. And it's that isolation. It's It's that fear of the apocalypse. It's that fear of, you against the world. And that's something that I think is probably always going to be relevant. It's just this fear that we all seem to have, which is easily understandable. Okay, where am I? Okay, number 5, the unconscious. Freud was the first to suggest that all behavior is the result of hidden mental states, or as he called it, the unconscious. Name a book that, in your opinion, shows the real side of humanity or a character. Well, Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse 5. This shows the real side of the character and of humanity. There's Billy Pilgrim. He's in the war. He has to deal with his mother. He has to deal with his wife. It takes place in different periods of time. He gets abducted by aliens, and it really does. It's if you want that dichotomy of humanity and the character reacting, and humanity or whatever reacting to the character, then you might want to try this out. Slaughterhouse 5. Okay. Number 6, instincts. One of the basic premises of psychoanalysis is the human mind and behavior are influenced by unconscious drives. Libido and aggression, sexual/love versus destruction, death. What is a book that deals with these primal forces? Piers, Anthony, Isle of Woman. I just recently read this, and it has to do with the beginnings of humanity, civilization, our progress, and everything involved in that. So there's a lot of primal forces at work in this one. So Piers, Anthony, Isle of Woman. Number 7, hysteria and repression. At the turn of the century, Freud claimed that people were so sexually repressed that they started to develop physiological symptoms, such as blindness, numbness, hysterical attacks, when in fact nothing was physically wrong with them. Name a book that features repressed sexuality. The Story Dying in Bangkok in Dan Simmons' LoveDeath. These guys are in Vietnam. This guy and his friend goes to a brothel. Well, they actually go to a freak show brothel, is the best way to put it. And they encounter this woman-ish thing there who has special talents. And his buddy goes back, and something winds up happening, and years later he admits that he's homosexual. So he journeys all the way back to Southeast Asia for revenge. But you didn't know this up until the end of that story. So, spoiler alert. But that's probably the best example, or one of the best examples. Dying in Bangkok. It's like my favorite and most memorable story out of this collection. So you might want to check it out. Dan Simmons' LoveDeath. The name of the story is Dying in Bangkok. Number 8, dreams. In his groundbreaking interpretation of dreams, Freud discovered that dream analysis is one of the best ways to understand the unconsciousness. This practice is still one of the key skills that modern psychoanalysts today have to learn how to master. Name a book where dreams are heavily prominent. I don't have the book with me, but The Stand by Stephen King, People were constantly dreaming in that book. They were dreaming of Randall Flagg. They were dreaming of Mother Abigail. Different characters were having different dreams. And it all meshed together beautifully. I mean, The Stand is probably my favorite Stephen King book. Definitely one of my favorites. So, The Stand by Stephen King. Number 9. The couch. Of course, how could we forget the couch? Lying down to talk about anything at all while a stranger sits behind you is a weird dynamic, however fascinating and effective. There's something unique and special about the analyst-patient relationship. Something you can only know if you have experienced it. Name a book with interesting, weird, or unique relationships. Planet Called Treason. Lanik is a radical regenerative. He grows a set of boobs, and his dad comes over and squeezes them. So, if that's not a weird father-son relationship, I don't know what the hell is. Not your ideal father-son bonding moment. So, Planet Called Treason by Orson Scott Card. Number 10. Freud has been seriously misunderstood by many since his day. Be that as it may, modern research has supported many of his findings. Today, psychoanalysis is a strong field with more and more people training to become analysts. Name a book, author that makes you hopeful about the future. That is Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. And it's not the subject matter, it's the writing and the fact that this was a fantastic book, and great literature always makes me hopeful for the future. So, plus, literature has led to a lot of advancements as far as the zeitgeist and how people think and how they approach certain things that they otherwise probably wouldn't think about or try to find solutions to. So, alright, that's it. It's Freudian Book Tag. Thank you, Tiffany, for the tag. Sorry it took me so long to get to it. And I'm going to tag some people. I'm going to tag Jena over at Bibliofilth. I'm going to tag Cara, Wilde Garden. I'm going to tag Dane, Cobain. Dane reads because he doesn't have enough on his plate. I'm going to tag Mark Richardson over at Richardson Reads, and I'm going to tag Elena Makridina. And anyone else that wants to do this tag, feel free. It's a good one. So thanks for watching, as always, and appreciate you folks. Bye.